Forest Service is the largest land management agency in the United States that's dedicated to conservation, with land and jobs in pretty much every single state in the United States and more employees than any other agency that does this kind of work. So it's no wonder why this is one of the most popular agencies for people to want to apply to. Unfortunately, right now, the videos that you get from the Forest Service for jobs and recruitment look like this. And in today's internet, where everything's supposed to be easy for us to find, this just doesn't cut it. In this video, I'm going to try to quickly break down where are Forest Service jobs, what kind of jobs are there in the Forest Service, how much money can you expect to make, and how can you make getting a job easier for yourself. I'm Danny, and if this is your first time, welcome to Ecology Story Mode. So the first thing that I think it's important to go over is, where are these jobs? For the most part, the majority of employees in the Forest Service are going to be located around national forests, pretty obviously. Whenever you have a national forest, there's normally going to be multiple field offices that are all the way around it that kind of divide it into different districts, and how many there are just depends on the size of the forest that you're dealing with, as well as things like how many people recreate there, how many fires do they have there, and a whole bunch of different things depending on what part of the country you're in. The next kind of location that you're going to get in this agency is nurseries. Now, nurseries can be found in the national forest. However, it can also be located outside of the forest in just a different area. Normally, it's going to be in a more rural area. And the third kind of place that you're going to have in the Forest Service is going to be research stations. So between land grant colleges and just separate research stations, this is the area where the actual research is done to figure out what are we going to do to manage the forest in the future, how do we make the hydrology better, and a whole bunch of different things from fire to soil, depending on where you are in the country. That's where the research interests are going to be centered generally. Next thing you might be wondering is, what kind of jobs are actually in the Forest Service? Like, if my interest is slightly unrelated to forestry, would I find a job? The good answer here is yes, you will. While forestry technicians are probably the bulk of the workforce when it comes to the Forest Service, out of the people that are actually making the management plans in the office, to where in most offices there's anywhere from 20 to 100 people, just depending on the size of the office and the amount of diversity of resources in a forest. As for job titles, it would take forever to just list them all out, and I probably don't even know all of them. So a nice little easy formula to get through all of this is just looking at the name of a specialty or a resource, something like recreation or forestry or botany, and then adding a level that you work at, and then tagging onto that the GS level that you're working at and maybe the appointment that you're working at. The types of resources and specialties that are in an office, there's honestly way more than just forestry. There's anything from realtors to recreational specialists to people that are doing hydrology, botany, soil science, and the list kind of goes on. These are things I'm going to have found in the links in the bottom because it would take forever to go through all of them. I'm going to go through the levels that you can work at by just tagging them onto the forester title, but you can honestly do it through pretty much any of the other ones that I just listed. And then there's going to be forestry aides, and these are going to be people, you don't need much more than a high school diploma and maybe some work experience to get these jobs. And above that, there's going to be forestry technician. And now forestry technicians are going to be a mixture of people with a bachelor's degree, people with a high school diploma, and maybe some working experience, and in some cases, just starting out as an aide. The amount of bachelor's degrees to non-bachelor's degrees you're going to find at the technician level is going to be really just dependent on how competitive the job market is in the area that the people are at. Above that is going to be the specialist or the conservationist level, which is going to be the forester. And these are going to be the people that have a bachelor's degree and they write the forest management plans, and they work in interdisciplinary teams with all the other specialties to help make management, restoration plans, and a whole bunch of other types of plans. And above that is going to be the field manager. At this point, there's going to be very few people that are going to be foresters still. If you want to go to the next level, you're going to have to be a person that manages a field office or is an assistant manager, and pretty much your job here is going to be to take all of the different departments and all the different specialties and help them write plans together. And with grade, that's another thing that's going to take forever if I just go through them. So I'm going to link a list that'll show you some national averages down below. However, just giving you some context on that list, if you don't have a bachelor's degree, the highest that you'll be able to go is GS9. Generally, depending on your work experience coming into the job, you're gonna have to work from a GS4 or a GS3. If you have a bachelor's degree, you're gonna be able to work from that GS5 level, and even if you start at the tech level, you can eventually work your way into a conservationist role and work all the way up to the 15 just with your bachelor's degree. And beyond that, there's senior executive service and all these other things, but we're not for this video. And lastly, how do you get started? Well, the obvious answer here is you got to go to USA Jobs and type in forestry technician or forester or something and look up jobs and wait for postings, which sounds like a lot of fun, right? However, one thing that the Forest Service does very well in relation to other agencies that do federal work like this, they have a job events page that is really well put together and actually gives you these postings to where instead of having to just make all these saved searches and guessing what application windows are going to be coming up, you can actually look through their events page and they'll tell you what jobs are coming up. Are you a student? Are you a recent graduate? And they help you get into spots where you're more likely to get a job. And outside of that, there's a whole bunch of hiring authorities, but I don't want to make this video super long, so I already made a video which I'll put up somewhere and you can go to that if you feel like. But yeah, I hope this video helps and I hope you have a nice day.